projections began before he was even elected. Donald Trump's economic plans would destroy the U.S. economy, blared a May 2016 Atlantic piece. Economists, a Trump win would tank the markets, snarled Politico in October 2016, just weeks before Trump would win the presidency. Now, the results since then haven't just provided a contrast to those headlines, they have blown them out of the water. In a word, they have shamed, or should have shamed, these so-called experts. Joining me now is the always fabulous Maria Bartiromo, host of the fantastic show Mornings with Maria, of course on Fox Business, and Sunday Morning Futures right here on Fox. Maria, I go back and I read some of these headlines, I'm screaming laughing. So I've got to say, what would it take at this point for the Paul Krugmans of the world to just admit that they had gotten it wrong?
Oh my God, Laura, it is so great to talk to you tonight. Look, the bottom line is they are so wrong, and it is so obvious. We see these numbers day in and day out. I don't know what it would take for them to admit that they were wrong. But when you look at these metrics, Laura, it is really hard to ignore. Unemployment at a 51-year low. Wages up better than 3%. First time we're seeing wages go up in more than a decade. I mean, get your head around that for a second. The first time American workers have actually had a raise, a real raise, in more than 10 years. And the real important and gem of all of this is actually that it's the low income and minorities that are benefiting from these policies coming out of the Trump administration than so many others. We're seeing people who have never had a job actually working. They are participating in an economy that is growing better than 3%. You ask anybody on either side of the aisle and you have to admit things are going well. There's euphoria in the air.
Yeah, and Maria, the 2020 Democrats, though, are they kind of trying to throw sand in the gears here, because they're all, in one way or another, trying to claim that the economy is only buzzing for the wealthy. Watch.
Who is this economy really working for? It's doing great for a thinner and thinner slice at the top.
This economy is not working for average Americans.
This economy is not working for working people.
This economy has got to work for everyone. And right now we know that it isn't.
But Maria, the Wall Street Journal just yesterday noted in this new piece, as unemployment remains near generation lows, the fortunes of low-wage workers, which you alluded to, have improved markedly. They go on to note that these are the people who haven't benefited from the American economy since the pre-recession days. And then they had a graph which was stunning. The people without a high school diploma, it's the hardest to get jobs if you're without a high school diploma, they have seen an increase in their employment at a greater rate than any other group that's measured in the same way. I thought that was great news, because I'm always worried about those people who didn't have a chance to finish the schooling that a lot of us did get a chance to finish.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the bottom line is when you have good policy, it lifts all boats. This goes directly back to what the president did a year and a half ago with tax cuts and the rollback in regulations. Under the Obama administration, there were so many rules and regulations, Laura, that companies were sitting on cash. Not only were they handcuffed with all of the regulations and the red tape that they had to go through to actually move forward, they were wondering what's around the corner, what other regulation is going to hit me. So as a result, they were uncertain, they sat on cash. As soon as the president came in, lowered taxes, rolled back regulations, opened up the spigots in terms of the energy markets, you saw a lot more investments.
I mean, the things that Trump said, if we do this, we'll break this logjam on stagnating wages. We're going to break it. We're going to bring more people.
Yeah.
I mean, will any of these so-called experts like Paul Krugman, I mean, they're never going to admit. I mean, this piece that he wrote just recently, I flagged it on Twitter, Trump is losing his trade wars. Trump will try to spin some trivial foreign concessions as a great victory, but the actual result will just be to make everybody poor. At the same time, Trump's casual trashing of past trade agreements has badly damaged American credibility and weakened the international rule of law. Maria, you know this better than almost anyone. What did China's repeated cheating in trade and market manipulation, what did that do to people's belief in the free market trading system?
One example, Laura, I had Steve Ballmer on, the former CEO of Microsoft. He said in China, 90% of the companies use the Microsoft operating system, 1% of them pay for it. Ballmer told me that cost Microsoft $10 billion in profits a year. The Chinese have been stealing from the West, stealing from America, intellectual property for decades. Everybody knows that very few people have even thought to push back on China. This president is the first president to actually push back on China and keep his boot on the neck of President Xi Jinping, and that is why you're seeing this fight over tariffs. Yes, there's a debate about tariffs in terms of other countries, in terms of what we're doing and how he's generating the growth, even though we are seeing the tariffs. But at the end of the day, he's taking in billions of dollars in tariff revenue. And look, you have to believe that he doesn't have many alternatives for China. They won't stop stealing.
Now, and Maria, don't you get the sense that Xi is just going to wait out this election, as painful as it might be to the Chinese economy? You get the sense that they're probably not interested in a deal now, unless it's some sweetheart deal that they're not going to get from President Trump.
This goes back
I think they're going to wait it out and hope that Biden or Kamala Harris or one of those types wins.
And this goes back to the irresponsibility of the mainstream media, because of this last 2.5 years of all this collusion craziness, which was made up. As a result of that, the Chinese actually believed, probably watching CNN, the Chinese actually believed, well, I might be done with this guy in 2 years. So they're trying to, now over the last couple of months, they're realizing, well, wait, maybe not. I might have to deal with him for another 6 years. It could be that they'll wait it out. We'll see. That economy is getting hit, and it's getting hit hard. Auto sales down in the double digits. You're really seeing an impact to the economy. And if the president goes one step further and actually does the tariffs on the remaining $350 billion of products coming in from China, that's going to hurt bad. But there is a worry that that also hurts America. So we'll see if the president does that.
Maria, lastly, here's the Federal Reserve Chairman the other day responding to Trump's claims that, well, he doesn't know what he's doing.
The economy is into its 11th year of expansion. Unemployment is at a 50-year low and has been for 15 months, and we expect that to continue. So, I think inflation is below where we'd like it. As you know, we're concerned about uncertainties and other factors that are weighing on the outlook and looking at changing our policy. But overall, I'd say that our economy is on a solid footing.
Yeah, he went on to say that he doesn't see any real serious threat of a serious economic downturn. So after all this, do you think he's finally signaling a 25-point basis cut in interest rates?
I do. I think he's suggesting that we're going to see a cut either the end of this month or in September. Look, I like to see an independent Federal Reserve not being pressured, but at the end of the day, you have to question, Laura, why just 6 or 7 months ago we were talking about the Fed raising rates 3 times and unloading the balance sheet, and now all of a sudden a 360, and now we're talking about a cut in rates. You got to question what he was thinking then and what he's thinking now.
We had a rough December. And all year long, Trump said, cut the rate, cut the rate, cut the rate. And it looks like he was right about this one, too, but we'll see. Maria, it's great to have you on. Let's do this more often.
Laura, I love it. Thanks so much for having me.
Coming